Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Mile High Game Guys Boardgaming Podcast. I'm your host, Adrian.
I'm Zach.
And I'm Jeff.
And he's still here.
Still here.
The leg did not fall off during the Wednesday episode.
Have not gotten any
No
deep...
further breaks.
None deep vein thrombosises.
Yeah.
Thrombosi.
Well, I mean, maybe you have it and it just hasn't reached your brain to where it kills you.
Okay.
Like it's just floating around, waiting.
It's just ready to
biding
strike.
its time.
Yes. All those injections were for nothing. I've had to take stomach injections every day.
Oh, really?
Like needle injections
Ooh.
of Lovenox blood thinner.
Yeah.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Sounds unpleasant.
It was all right. If I was like a skinny vegan with no fat on me, it would probably suck more. But I got some areas to jab some needles in my stomach. So
That's a new take on that phenomenon there. Haha, suck it, you skinny vegans.
Yeah.
It hurts when you get stabbed with a needle in the gut.
Yep.
All right, well, let's get on to this episode. It is a top 10 episode because this was the week 130 of the podcast. We've been podcasting for 130 weeks, give or take.
Well, and when Jeff broke his leg, I was like, all right, we'll give him 2 weeks off, but you better fucking come back.
You better be here for the list.
Yeah. Even if we had to like Skype you in or some shit like that.
Yeah. It's certainly much better than it was. Leaps and bounds.
Yeah.
Won't be leaping and bounding anything for a while, but it is much better.
Right on. So getting into this episode, as some of you may have seen over on the guild for the episode post, we are doing top 10 components. Now we've already done, I think, a top 10 components that like was our top 10 games, like with the best components like overall.
Yeah.
This is a little bit different. We're not doing games specifically. We're doing like our top 10 best like individual types of components. So we came up with a list of like 10 different types of components that are in a box, like money, insert, resources, minis, things like that.
Miscellaneous components.
Yeah. Well, like the catch-all for like that other thing that you can't really.
Yeah. A certain je ne sais quoi.
Potpourri.
Yes.
Yes.
But we're giving our best in those different categories. And so we have 10 different categories. We're going to give our best. I'm sure there will be some honorable mentions. You're probably going to hear like, I don't know, it's a top 10 list. There's 3 of us. So you're going to hear like 50 to 60 games?
Something around that, yeah. I think it's one of our staples of being most podcasts is that Adrian and I put a lot more in there than needed, and then you berate us for it.
Yes.
So it's...
Because I do the amount of work required.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
obviously, if we do more work, people will like us more. That's how it works, right?
Yeah, totally.
Well, I mean, Jeff, do you always just want to do the bare minimum? Like,
I have all the pieces of flair that are required, sir.
appreciate that you immediately knew where I was going with that.
Absolutely.
You don't have to wear more. But
All right,
But look at Adrian over here. Look how many games he has on his list.
Indeed. Let's dive right in here. So Zach was the one who ultimately came up with this list here, and then we just kind of stole it from him because we were all floundering.
Some
about
sort of consistency to whatever this list is, and not like 30 different things.
It lended a much-needed structure.
yes.
Something this podcast needs all around.
Mm-hmm.
Lies.
Before we actually get into them, do you guys have any games that do not fit?
Any components?
Components that do not fit the list?
Yes, I have one.
Oh, Jeff's doing 11 games.
Oh my god!
I don't know.
Are you telling me it doesn't fit the list of miscellaneous component?
I mean, it does, but there was a better miscellaneous component.
Okay.
So I would call this the honorable categories section.
Yeah, sure.
Best rulebook feel. Wingspan, by far.
I get it. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yep, I'll jump.
It is the nicest rulebook I've ever touched in my life.
This glorious
it's a linen rulebook. I just want to touch it all the time.
Yeah,
that's the best part about Wingspan.
I don't know about that, but it's one of the best parts.
Yes, it's not that everything else is bad. It's just that is so good.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Zach, what about you? Do you have any honorable categories?
No, all my honorable mentions will obviously come up when we need to talk about them.
Okay.
So
I do have one honorable category then. That's shockingly not the same as Jeff's. Player aid, best player aid.
Mm.
There are actually this is one I could have listed like 7 games for, but just because it's going to be really one of my only chances to mention this game in a best of components. Food Chain Magnate.
Yeah, I figured that's good.
Okay.
Best player aid.
It's a good player
I love
aid.
their little menu player aids
Yeah.
that really spell out the milestones, the tech tree of
And
employee
and
advancements.
in a thematic like style too. So
Yeah, they nailed it.
that's I think all 3 of us would agree that that's the good part.
That's one of many good things in Food Chain Magnate.
To piggyback off of that and thinking about best player
Uh-huh.
aids, Black Orchestra, fantastic player aid.
Yeah.
Yeah, Black Orchestra is another one, has really good ones. All right, well, now we can actually get into the list. Now
Yes.
that our honorable categories are done.
Yep.
So, first up, best game board. So, Zach, you were the one who came up with the
Yep.
list here. What do you mean specifically by game board?
So something that is so a lot of these things when I first came out, like when I first pitched this entire thing to you, it was like, the best components, but like in a form meets function sort of way, not just prettiest.
Right.
So something that looks good, but is also clearly laid out and has, all these different spots for all the components and things like that. And it should be, it's not muddled. The art isn't too overbearing to where it gets like certain things get lost. Things like that.
And when you say game board, you mean like the big board, like in theory in the center of the board.
Yes, that is correct.
Of the table.
Yes.
So like Dominion, not going to be eligible because
No.
it doesn't have a game board.
No.
Whereas like Terraforming Mars, first mention,
Last
has a
mention.
game board.
No, it will not be the last mention
Ugh,
Yeah, it won't be the last.
because there's BGG responses.
that's true.
Yeah.
So no matter how many times we mention it in here, they will not be the last mention. So,
Fair enough.
So
and I do want to comment that this is like a singular board, like a one board that has sort of everything on it.
okay. So Dinosaur Island also eliminated then because it's like 3 boards to make up the center
That's
board.
like player boards.
Yeah, I know. Okay.
I don't know.
Okay, no, it's not, and I only because the next thing we're we're not talking about modular boards. I just want to say that.
Okay. I'll start. This is one of the few categories on here where there's actually, for me personally, there's a ton of games that could all be mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so one other thing before we actually start
Yeah.
naming games, one other thing we tried to do is only name a given game once in the entire list.
And so a given game once in the list, and also nothing Kickstarter exclusive or like super deluxe, like
you could ostensibly get these things now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Rising Sun probably won't win anything.
yeah,
Except maybe like this board has nice colors.
it does.
Yeah.
I almost thought about it, but I was still
Yeah.
like, there's other ones I like better.
Yeah.
So for me, I would have loved to put Brass here, but Brass is somewhere else. But for me, ultimately, I'm going to get down to the one I picked for this one, Tales of the Northlands, Sagas of Noggin the Nog. It is a game board that is recently, especially, and that was part of this for me, is I don't have a great memory for things. I remember certain game boards being nice, but it's really, how nice was it? And I was just going through, looking at games and names, and as soon as I saw the game board for Noggin, I remember just how well laid out, and since that is a key part of this for the game board is functionality, it's incredibly well laid out. You can clearly see the different areas where you're taking actions, and it clearly lays out how you take the actions in those different areas. The graphic design on it is great, and then it nails the art style that Nick set out to do with that whole thing, using that old Noggin art style from Peter Furman, and just crushes it. So for me, that it was almost a no-brainer. There's I said, there's a lot of other really good ones, but that's the one that just stood out with form, function, everything. Boom. Tales of the Northland, Sagas of Noggin the Nog. Jeff, what do you got?
I went with one that I really enjoy. No one else enjoys it. I went with Raiders of the North Sea.
Okay.
I kind of went through a bunch of boards that I was trying to pull out of my mind because there's a lot of boards out there.
Yeah.
Like people are like, "Hey, Scythe has a good board." I mean, yeah, it looks nice,
Yeah.
but it's functional. But I really liked Raiders of the North Sea because it has a lot of language independence. Everything is symbols. The only words that are really on there are the names of the spaces in that bottom left area. Everything else is completely laid out in a nice fashion where you can kind of see the tiers that you move up in, what the rewards are, what you get, what you have to do the stuff that is on there, and also just looking very nice and clean and colorful while doing all of that.
Right on. I could agree with that.
Yeah.
Zach, what do you got?
An honorable mention for me is the Game of Thrones board.
I was thinking that one as well.
Yeah.
It's a really good one.
It's a really good one. It's laid out well. It's, it looks like a giant map, but it still is clear in each one of the regions. And you know exactly if it has a castle, what level of castle it is, if it has, the crowns or any of the barrels for supply and all that stuff, what every player's starting spot is. And I think it just has good game presence or board presence in general. But I ended up going with Zulkin, the Mayan calendar, just because the art on it in the back looks good and it's fairly language independent. Really, it's just the gear. And I almost put this as I almost got rid of game board to put this in a miscellaneous component, and I was like, I think I can just sort of fudge it into game board in general, because I think it does a really good job of showing time in there. And how time exists in here, for different rounds, and that you don't have to move the guy; it moves it for you. And so it shows you as you go farther, you get better and better things.
Yeah.
So I think they did a really good job with that.
Cuts down on a ton of if you did it without the
Yeah,
gears,
'cause
it'd be
you
so
could
much fiddliness and
Exactly.
upkeep of having to move every piece every turn.
Yeah, and I justified it as the game board because it's what you put the guys on. So yeah.
Since you mention it, that is my honorable mention for miscellaneous component, and it's only an honorable mention, I think, because I actually still have not technically played Zulkin,
I have not technically played this game.
but it's one that I was well aware of. And when I was thinking of components that are both unique and stand out
Yeah.
and actually have purpose,
Exactly.
it was one of the first.
Yep.
It was boom, that's the type of game we're doing this episode for.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I haven't played it, so I didn't feel comfortable putting it in a winning position.
Gotcha.
So that's game board.
Yes.
Which now moves us over into category 2, modular board.
Yes, which I felt was it needed to be a different thing than the player board, because modular boards are really good for bringing up your variety and stuff. But I think a good modular board needs to be seamless in its configuration. So when you connect it together, it looks like it could just be a board that was printed out in that. I don't know.
Fits nice.
Yeah, it just all fits nice.
Looks like it fits nice.
Exactly.
Right on. Zach, with that lead in, what is your modular board winner?
So honorable mention, Mansions of Madness.
Yeah.
I thought they did a good job with that.
I was thinking about that one too.
But overall, I went with Archipelago.
Ooh,
the-
good. Okay.
So far, they have been my favorite for the modular boards connecting together, and it looks like the art on there are, it's great. And every time you explore, and it seems like it's look, you're exploring a new part of the island or whatever. But every time at the end of the game, when you look at the board, it seems like they all match. No matter the configuration, it looks like the island was naturally made that way. And I think they just did a really good job. It's clear what spots you can actually put people on, and I think it just looks really well done.
Archipelago.
Yes.
Someone tried to play that at the Irish Snug game night,
Yep.
that game day.
A decade ago?
Yeah, that I don't think it made it past the learning stage
No.
on that one.
No, it's definitely I've played it a couple times at game night, and it is not a
No.
it's not a game night
30 to 240 minute game.
game. Yeah, I mean there is a short one. It still can take a while. So
So for me, this is another category where there are several. There's things like Archipelago is a great answer. I did not edit it into my list. I didn't even consider editing it into my list. What I did edit it in place, so I replaced Inish as my honorable mention. Inish, I think, is a great modular board. I love the zigzaggy ones. Spirit Island could be here if it wasn't somewhere else, because I really like the way Spirit Island's modular board all goes together.
now, you're not talking about the thematic side, right?
I would still include the thematic side.
I would not, because it only goes in one way. The thematic side has one configuration, and that's it.
That's just a board.
And it's just a board.
Since
that
I
you-
usually play in 2-player, you can play with a variety of the different boards, but still the way I see what you're saying, because it's not technically modular.
yeah.
In that, you can't be I'm going to take this one and this one if I can't take the east and the northwest and put them together because they don't have a common border.
You can do that on the other side.
Yes,
But yeah.
so
I'm glad you didn't put that in there, because then I would have been like,
shenanigans.
no.
Yes.
No, bad.
But and I do wish that for the thematic side they'd maybe done the borders. Like I like that they bleed over because it gives you that nice continuity that you look for. But it does unfortunately prevent it from being like truly modular on the thematic side. So, however, what I did end up going with, and this was I was really torn. So like I almost want to swap them even right now. And I'm going to. So my honorable mention goes to Keeper. And Keeper's not modular in the traditional sense of like individual pieces that you can put together, but I still feel it's modular because of the way you can fold it in different arrangements each time you're putting out one of the board, and there's one for each player, and each player gets to choose what configuration it goes into when they put it out in the center where everybody gets to take their actions on it. You do that every round, and that leads to a lot of variability, and just the fact that you're able to make a single board that can be folded and twisted like, I don't know, an old paper game that you'd play in elementary school to tell you who you're going to marry, you know, and it works, and it folds around and does the different things it needs to do. I think that's really cool. However, my official answer is going to be Vanuatu.
Okay.
And it was you talking about Archipelago and how it makes a seamless, like no matter how you configure it, it seamlessly fits. And this is another one because the rules of placement of the tiles as they come out and the way you build the tile like deck, essentially, you end up with a really cool archipelago of islands in Vanuatu that you're building out. And it has a center board, but you're doing the tiles on that board. And that makes it modular enough in my book. And I love the art style on that and so much of the graphic design and it really the entire board all just goes together so well to fit what you're doing and how you're doing it. And there's a couple graphical design choices that I could have on the main board been different with, but the island tiles themselves I think were spot on. So Vanuatu is my best modular.
If it keeps you from choosing Spirit Island, I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
Jeff, what about you? What you got for modular board?
My modular board winner is going to be Gloomhaven.
Nice. I thought about that one.
I have not played it nearly enough.
Yeah. I mean, there's just a fuckload of tiles. They're all double-sided. They all fit together well. I mean, you do have to use like little door pieces and stuff like that to kind of make it look better.
I honestly almost said Mansions of Madness / Gloomhaven is like the same style of thing.
Yeah.
So.
Mansions of Madness was also at the top of my mind. That was a good honorable mention. Inish was also in there, but that was more like best art on those tiles.
Because I think like the tiles, they feel too unique, especially because of the white border everywhere and how the images are not the same like dimension or whatever. The same angle.
Which is why it didn't work, and which is why I'm super glad none of you mentioned Arkham Horror 3rd Edition. Because it kills me how those do not line up.
No. Love the game, probably won't make anything on here. So
but yeah, Gloomhaven, just an absolutely epic amount of different variations and everything you can do with it. And I mean, there's 100 scenarios it comes with, and there's solo, and then there's a game, an infinite game. It's why people love that game a lot.
Yes,
and we haven't played it in a very long time.
No. Right on.
One of many games.
Yes,
no kidding. So that brings us over to our player board section.
One final board.
One final board.
Yes.
Yeah.
Unless somebody threw a board into miscellaneous components.
I would hope not.
Player boards, however. Player boards. Jeff, what is your top player board?
And what do you think makes a good player board, too?
Yeah. I mean, a good player board, it needs to have maybe like something that keeps all of your stuff where it's supposed to be. Mm-hmm. Like Eclipse, not going to win this. Terraforming Mars, not going to win this. Cubes on a sheet of paper is not going to win a good player board. I think we've all been a little spoiled by the double, triple layer player boards. But
which a lot of them were Kickstarter exclusives. So.
Yes. Thankfully, some are not.
Nope.
An honorable mention of the Lisboa is definitely most player board with its triple layer. Yeah. Easily be able to tuck cards on top of and under.
Yeah, that's...
But for the sake of not being as gross in the player board category, Scythe is one of my favorite player boards. It's got some nice art on there. They're modular to where you have your faction board and your type, like industrialist or whatever.
And they're each different too.
Yes. And they're
like per player is what I mean.
Yes. And they are recessed, so that nice double layered player board, you can get all of your cubes right where they're supposed to go. And it's pretty important because your cubes are based on how much things cost as you research thing and move cubes kind of from the top to the bottom. Of course, I've gotten a lot of aftermarket things on top of that. But just the player boards themselves are always in that game, and they're fantastic.
Right on. So for me, my honorable mention is actually Terraforming Mars. Because I only wanted to honorably mention them because I think that aside from what you said, and this is the reason they were never going to win, is because they don't hold the cubes. But I think those player boards are fantastically well designed from a graphical design layout.
I would agree with that.
They show all of the information they need to show in a clear and easily understandable way. To where you can look over at what somebody else has and be like, I can clearly see what your production, what your current supply is, like all of that. So good.
But it's 2D.
But it's just too flat.
Yeah, if we were able to include aftermarket shit, 100%.
Yeah.
Like all the broken tokens, the 3D game trays, the 3D overlays that people print. As soon as you upgrade it to the third dimension, it works great.
Yeah.
Because there's too many pieces of information on there that need to stay specifically where they need to be, and that can be tough.
Yeah, I think the complaints are commonly overblown about like game ruiningly bad. Like I've played with just the base player boards before, and yeah, if it gets jostled, your things shift. But I've never had it jostle so bad that I just lost everything to a point where I couldn't still be like, well, no, I know I had this much money, I had this and this because I was planning on spending all of that. I know exactly where things were. I've been like, I don't know. I think some of the complaints are a little overblown, but
anyway,
it is well laid out.
And
however,
but it is printed on crap paper.
Yeah. Oh yeah, real bad. However, and this I was torn for the actual winning spot. I thought about Lisboa, but Lisboa, the pieces don't quite fit right in the recessed bits. They move around too much, and there's too.
I mean, really, you could say that's a fault of the pieces than the player board.
I mean,
I'm saying you could have gamed it that way. You could have gamed it that way.
But I have more integrity than that, sir.
Oof, integrity.
However,
by the man that just gave Terraforming Mars an honorable
mention for player boards.
You're not wrong. No, so my winner though is Dino Genex. I saw the new Dino Genex boards, just recently, and I love the fact they made the spaces for the fences recessed. Like they've got just so much recess space, like for every little thing. And it's some of the most intricate recess spaces I've seen in any game yet that fit a whole bunch of different things. I'm super stoked.
I'm glad Adrian is the first one, or is the one that broke the no, like you have to actually be able to buy it thing.
Oh shit, you're right.
Yeah.
It doesn't actually have a full retail release.
Nope. And maybe the next print, they might be able to do them in the next Kickstarter sort of thing, but they definitely can't do it here.
Shit.
Yep. All right. So Adrian's thing is Terraforming Mars.
No. Well, in that case, it's Lisboa.
Okay.
Because I'm not going to try and think of something else right now, but it would be Lisboa.
All right.
I put an asterisk next to Dino Genex.
There you
God damn it. I totally did. That one slipped right by me.
Oh, that's great. So for my legitimate ones.
Get the fuck out. I thought you were like, the face you were making, I thought I stole it from you.
No. I thought about it, but then I was, abide by the rules.
Jesus Christ.
So my runner-up is Root. Because I think as a player board, it does a great job of, because they're all unique, it's all asymmetric like characters and whatnot, it gives you a great rundown of how your turn actually works. And it explains to you how everything goes, and it also has all the right spots for all the things you need to. But I ended up going with Scythe for pretty much the same reasons that you did. So yeah.
Scythe is a really good one.
Yeah.
I just haven't played Scythe in like 4 years.
Yeah, but it's had that nice impression of like, it's a good player board.
It was overshadowed by how much I didn't like Scythe.
Well, and I really liked how how the upgrade action was handled on that from
Yeah.
the player board, where it's now it covers costs that you had to pay before, and it uncovers additional benefits. I thought they did that really well.
It fits well
Yep.
as well. Cubes are real tight.
Toy like a toiga.
Yes.
Next up in category is cards. These are like when you hear cards in a game is what you're typically going to think of. Like playing cards, but whatever they are for the board game.
Yeah.
These could be minis, they could be tarots, whatever. Things I look for in them, they need to have a really good feel. They need to be, depending on how much you're actually doing things with them, like if you're shuffling them a lot or dealing them out a lot and handling them, they need to be durable. If it's a game where information matters, like hidden information, they need to be like resilient to not showing nicks and tears and like little dings that might mark cards. And then for me personally, I riffle shuffle every deck of cards that needs shuffling ever. So for me, a deck of cards needs to shuffle nice. Like there's nothing that frustrates me more than when I have what otherwise seem to be great cards and I go to riffle shuffle them and they don't bend right to shuffle nicely. So they need to shuffle real nice. And for me, the ones that stood out in my mind, the best for that is both Brass Birmingham and Brass Lancashire. The cards in both of those games are just fantastic. They've got beautiful art. They're incredibly durable. I've played multiple games on both of my copies. They're not showing any wear. I haven't noticed any nicks on like the edges from shuffling that are showing like any white cores or anything. They've got a good feel. They shuffle beautifully. They're just fantastic cards. I love the cards in both Brass Birmingham and Brass Lancashire. Zach.
My honorable mention is Android Netrunner.
Okay.
And
I recall those being pretty good cards.
The reason why it is an honorable mention is because it's dead.
It's dead.
And I had forgotten about that until pretty recently. And I was like, I mean, you could probably buy it, but I feel like it's now just sort of they've stopped supporting it. So
yeah.
But on that one, it was like all the cards, like not only did it display the information, like it gave you all the information you needed to, not just through text, and the art style and how all the different types of cards had unique just patterns and stuff on them that helped you immediately recognize if it was a console or an asset or an icebreaker. And then from the corporation side, the different the ice versus the agendas and things like that. They and how they actually went on the board and stuff like that, or on the table. But I ended up going because of that, and had to think of my feel. I ended up going with Hanami Koji as my favorite cards.
Those are nice cards.
Because I think they're still like some of my favorite art on cards, especially the 7 geishas in the center. And I think it's simple, but it's you can't not understand those cards because they're all color coded and a different symbol and a different number. And all of those are matched on the 7 geishas. And so I think they did like you said, I've played my copy countless of times, and sure, if you got a new copy versus mine, you could tell the difference. Just
there's a little bit of wear, but it's
I mean, and just dirt and
considering how much you've played, though, it's amazing.
Yeah. So yeah, that's mine.
Jeff, what you got for cards?
Not Coup.
Yeah.
No, God, I wish.
Coup does not stand up to
heavy play.
Yeah, unfortunately, especially because I have that unique art version.
Yeah.
And I don't even bring it out anymore because it's just gotten so mangled from how many times we played it.
Yeah.
But mine is Inish with its huge, very
those are good.
colorful tarot-sized cards. That epic feat card deck, which you don't really ever see much, but I mean it's all unique art in there. And then the I think it's 12 to 16 with the 4-player.
Yeah.
Cards with all fantastic big art on there. That I mean, they don't really get shuffled all that much. There's only really 12 to 16 cards, so the wear and tear doesn't really hit. But great cards. Some of my favorite cards in a game.
Right on. That brings us over to my least favorite category. Minis.
Miniatures. Miniatures.
So Zach, you're up first for this one. So what do you look for in good miniatures? And then what's your choice?
So I know just something that's, well detailed. obviously this isn't a cheap category, basically. Like a game with a lot of the best minis, it cost a lot. And
Yes.
so we definitely didn't have that as a, we have the, it's not like a deluxe Kickstarter special thing. We never said it couldn't cost hundreds and hundreds of dollars. And so
I know what your answer is.
So
I bet I know what Jeff's answer is now too.
my answer is Kingdom Death Monster, because these are some of the best minis I've ever seen.
Definitely most minis.
Most minis, and especially the fact that, like, for your own characters, you can add on the armor and weapons that you get in game onto the minis themselves. One guy apparently went through and made everything magnetic, so you can just take it off. Like, it's like, oh, you got a new weapon? Take off your old weapon, put in the new weapon.
Take the spear off, put the sword on.
Yeah, and I'm not going to say that if I didn't know where this guy lived. But no, and the enemy monsters, because you're only facing like one at a time, they need to be imposing, and like the Phoenix and like that like the new ones that have coming out, like the dragon, and even like they're
The Dragon King?
Dragon King. They're imposing figures that on the board they're they dwarf you, and you feel that, oh god, what am I gonna do? And
just the level of extreme detail they went into with all it, to the point of being fairly complicated to put together.
Yeah.
And kind of fragile to transport.
Yeah, I'm definitely did not like. I'm glad I don't own this game, because I wouldn't want to try and put anything. But I am 100% glad I know people that have this game, and it's
as someone that has spent some time with the huge sprues of oh my god level of, like, how many different poses of hand do you think are on that sprue? Just throwing it out there.
For each hand.
Each hand. Just for the regular Survivor miniatures.
Just for them, I don't know, 5 different ones.
There are 25 different hands in just different pointy, nothing in the hands, just hands.
So my answer is squared. Got it.
Yeah. Just
Nice.
an unbelievable amount of variation that they threw in here, where with a price of $400 for the amount of stuff you get in this is totally worth it.
Well, I mean, it's $400 for like the base set.
But the amount of stuff that's in there is absolutely insane.
Should be for
Yeah.
$400.
Yeah. Like,
It's a huge amount of money.
yes.
No, it's like you say for like the 18. It's
like, I mean, you see that $1,666 pledge.
yeah,
But a lot of that is, you don't need that.
yeah.
The $400 that you spend on that core game is definitely worth it.
So yeah, that's my minis.
Also, it's also mine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like, it's just the amount of quality in miniature and just what you get is just mind-blowing. Like, how much they put in here. As someone that has fucked around with 40K and Blood Bowl and miniatures like my whole life, like, the amount they did here is mind-numbing. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Even though, like, all their expansions and shit just come in like, hey, here's a cardboard box with a fucking black sticker on it.
Yeah.
But the stuff you actually get in there is very, very good quality.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
All right. Well, what'd you come up with?
So my only experience with Kingdom Death Monster is seeing them in cases at Gen Con. When I went with Jeff to, like, maybe get something. I don't remember what you were doing there, but I was tagging along.
I may have been getting the dice for CJ or whatever.
Something like that, yeah. So that's my only experience with them. I have not been present at anybody actually playing it. I've not seen them physically in person. So they were not going to be on my list. My honorable mention goes to the mech suits and Anachrony, which are available as like a deluxe add-on. That's part of why they're a honorable mention.
Okay.
And I only put them as an honorable mention also because they're actually functional. Like, the way you can actually put the tokens in them, and like they're meant to hold things and like actually really be part of the game as well.
Okay.
I think that's really cool.
Yeah. No, it's cool, but
Shut up, Zach. However, my answer ultimately went to Mansions of Madness, second edition and sort of first edition. I think, like, I really like the minis in that game. Like, the level of detail in them, especially being like Cthulhu, crazy, ridiculous monsters.
Maybe not the investigator models. but-
No. I'm talking specifically about the monsters.
Yeah.
The
monsters are
investigators
good.
lack something to be desired.
Yeah.
And there are
They get
other
a little.
games.
They get a little soft.
Yeah. There are other games like I own most of the Zombicide stuff, and Cool Mini has done Cool Minis for a long time. I even briefly considered putting Rising Sun here because I remember every individual teeth on some of those dragons.
Yeah.
And some of the detail on those dragons. But for me, especially just the feeling I get playing Mansions of Madness and
The
having
minis do a good job of just oh god, these things are so
This is big.
This is big and it's so close.
yeah, and it was kind of the same thing you were saying with Kingdom Death of granted you're not just facing one, but
Yeah.
just the imposing nature of some of those massive monsters just crawling around chasing you.
You get a lot more scale in there than you do in
Yeah.
any of the other Arkham games.
Yeah.
And you can imagine being just an investigator in the 20s and having this slimy, wormy, tentacly creature slobbering after you and oh fuck.
Throwing you across the room with
Yeah.
psychic powers.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I went with. I really like the monster minis in really both Mansions of Madness, but second edition especially.
Yes,
Yes.
it is quite good.
I've stayed away from minis for far too long to really have a valuable opinion on this section.
I was gonna say, I was okay, well, you found the €1 that had minis in it.
I mean, I'm not gonna say I didn't consider Spirit Island. I considered it, but those minis are real bad.
Yeah.
I couldn't.
Yeah.
It was a brief thought that crossed my mind. I was like, no,
It's a flash of
Yeah.
no.
I know. But that moves us on over into inserts. Jeff, I believe it is your turn to lead off here. What do you look for in a good insert, and what won your best insert?
I knew that was gonna be that.
I love an insert where everything has its place to go specifically. Hey, this goes here. You don't have to be hey, what goes here again? Why is this general empty cube space for again? Especially if you can put all of those things in there without plastic bags, already just kind of putting them in there. That's why I always like a lot of the aftermarket inserts and stuff like that, because they're always real nice. But of course, you're paying the cost of the game to just put a thing in to keep
Cough,
your
terraforming Mars.
Yes.
Yeah.
So my favorite insert is Dice Forge. Dice Forge has a place for literally everything.
Yes, it
Everything
does.
is marked. Everything is labeled. It all just comes in the box. You don't have to buy anything aftermarket. So much. I mean, of course, that sleeve thing that goes over all the dice facings keeps everything nice and in there. But the cardboard that it folds together and goes into the insert in a specific way because there's notches cut in there. All of the cubes go somewhere specific. All of the little tokens.
Individual types of tokens too.
Yes.
So
Not just a token space,
Yeah.
but this type of one goes here. This type goes there. Cards go here. Upgrade cards go on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
And the red versus the blue. Even the dice, the type of die go on each other side.
Yep.
Dice Forge has a phenomenal insert. Even while you play, you can just take the sleeve off and you put it onto the box, and then the box sits at the end of the board, so you don't have a box sitting on a chair next to you or something like that. It's just part of the game, and then that board is right there with all of the little pieces you need, just right there, being able to grab. Everything underneath you've already pulled out to set up.
Yep.
My biggest complaint with Dice Forge as an insert is the same complaint I have with Lords of Waterdeep. Those super, super, super specific inserts
Expansions
don't fit expansions.
Yeah.
But the Dice Forge expansion is coming with its own box, which
We'll do all of the same things, but now when you play with it, you're gonna have multiple boxes on the table that are now part of the spread.
But the box, you put the board on top of the box, so you just put it right at the end, and it's like a track.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
But really, are you saying it's the fact that you will then have to have the expansion boxes?
Two boxes.
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, it's just an extra board, I guess.
Well, you know what? That expansion isn't out yet, so it's all theoretical.
Yes.
true. Zach, what about you? What you got for inserts?
So Dice Forge was my honorable mention. Luckily, Jeff, he just talked about it, so I don't have to. Other than it's great.
Yeah.
But my favorite insert is Mechs versus Minions, because it is the first one that really introduced me to the game trays style of inserts.
Just perfect in every way.
Yeah, in every way.
I had a little baby brother.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I feel like I'm so glad that every game I see now, especially like a lot of Kickstarters, and it's like, and here's their game tray. And they've gotten so much business off of Terraforming Mars. Like
I helped.
That first one.
I bought the sticker pack.
But then when they worked with him on this
Riot.
Yeah, Riot Games, it's crazy. Like the fact that there's 100 miniatures, with a bunch of different sculpts that all fit in the same spot. Like it's just
that one thing fits all the different shapes.
Yep. As long as the person actually puts it in correctly.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd call Wes out, but he's not doesn't listen to us anymore. So
all of our real friends have stopped listening.
Yeah. But no, all like and all the different spots for the cards, the boards, like it has 4 or 5 different layers for the inserts, and
so
they're all clearly marked, like you were saying. And it's just they've done they did an amazing job with that.
Yeah.
So
right on. For me, my honorable mention, I've actually mentioned both my honorable mention and my real one already. My honorable mention goes to Lords of Waterdeep. It was one of the original, I feel like, to have a really good custom vacuum formed insert that holds like everything you were saying about Dice Forge, Jeff. Like it's got specific spots for every single thing. The expansion, Scoundrels of Skullport did the same thing.
Even the outsides of the boxes fit well together.
And they like when you have them on the shelf, like the designs like line up together to where they look like they belong together as part of like a chest. Like so much of that was so good. My biggest complaint there carries over to my biggest complaint for the winner, which for me is Dice Forge as well. And my only complaint with either one of them really is that they don't hold the expansion, so you do need to carry both boxes.
That's the nice thing about Mechs versus Minions. I know it ain't getting shit.
Nope.
Yeah, never again. Mechs versus Minions was close. It's been a while since I played it. But ultimately for me, what really set Dice Forge ahead of Lords of Waterdeep was the fact that you touched on, Jeff. It not only does it hold everything great, which should be the first and foremost concern of an insert, but it actually facilitates play.
Yeah.
Like it's part of the playing experience. And so much of this that I've looked for is like, as I've tried to do a lot of these component things, is like, how do these components help gameplay?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes that's hard. Like minis might not always help gameplay, which that was something I didn't touch on for the Mansions of Madness. Like the way they have the slots for the
that mattered. That mattered
for the first edition.
Mattered more in the first edition, but I meant to touch on it.
Yeah, that's fine.
But like things like that like contribute to gameplay. They find a way to make something functional for gameplay.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna. I mean, if you were gonna touch on it, I was gonna say that the quality of the Mansions of Madness minis are not great, but the fact that they did that, like you were saying, that's fine. Yeah.
So, but the way Dice Forge and I ran into the same problems you guys already mentioned. Like so many of the really good inserts are like Kickstarter exclusives and things that you just can't actually get, or they're aftermarkets. Like, I mean, I could go down a huge list of amazing inserts from Game Trays or Broken Token or
Maple
any of,
Realty or any of those. Yeah.
Daedalus. There's a lot of great ones out there,
which is and how popular those are. I feel like it shows that people want those in games, and the fact that some of them just don't, like, Fantasy Flight's Trench is it's always just like, come on.
I mean, there are games on my shelf that the reason they don't get played is because they are a bitch to set up and tear down.
Yes.
Like it adds a significant portion of time and they're just a pain to organize. Like I would play Brass even more if people didn't have to spend 30 minutes at the start of Brass stacking all of those fucking industry tiles.
Yeah.
Like that's and like I love the new Brass have great inserts overall for holding everything, but they do nothing to facilitate play.
Yep.
And that's where the Dice Forge one stands out. So, good choice, Jeff.
No, yeah, I would definitely I think the only reason I chose Mechs versus Minions over it is just it was my first in it for all the things that come afterwards for game trays. I was just like,
yeah.
But I'm totally fine with podcast favorite is Dice Forge.
Now that we're done with inserts, we can move on over to what we spend so much of on components. Money. That's how I meant to do that.
Good.
All right, Zach, what do you look for in game money?
Good quality, and whether it's cardboard, paper, or metal or whatever, like it just has to be, good quality. And
It's tough because almost all the metal money
Exactly.
is Kickstarter
No.
exclusive
Yeah.
or
yeah.
deluxe upgrade.
No, it's like Dinosaur Island. Oh no, that's cardboards. Brass. Oh no, it's cardboard.
Scythe.
Oh no, it's cardboard. And so I ended up going with one of my favorite games, and Ponzi Scheme with its paper money is. I think it's the. I think it's the best paper money I've ever seen in a game, and the fact that it you actually use it in gameplay within the sticking it in the leather wallet and handing it to people. I don't think that would work as well if you tried. You definitely couldn't do money or metal because you just jangle.
just put it in like a coin purse
Yeah.
and then dumping it out in front of
Exactly.
you and just be like,
Yeah, and so I think it works from a gameplay perspective, and the fact that even though it's paper money, it's the best paper money I have seen, and I think they did a good job on it. So
Right on. Jeff, what do you got for money?
Ponzi scheme.
yeah,
And I chose it really because paper money is so hard to get right, and they just crushed it. Absolutely. Like, it's double-sided, it feels good, and it plays well in the game. And because everything else is a goddamn deluxe upgrade
yeah,
for everything. Like, you just get good money that comes in this.
yeah.
I did have an honorable mention that I should have mentioned first, but Stockpile has
Yeah.
good money.
Yeah, because
it's just little.
plastic things.
Yeah, it's
Like laminate cards.
Yeah. No, they do work well. Yeah.
yeah, it's a good way to have that amount of money, just not with paper or tokens.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm with you guys. Money's a bitch to do right.
To do right on a regular scale.
Yeah.
It's easy to do
out
it
of the
right.
box.
Yeah, out of the box. Yeah, retail.
Yeah, there was one, and I couldn't come up with a name forever, and it was going to be one of my maybe honorable mentions, but it's the one where, like, they're cardboard tokens, but they look like stacks of money.
Oh.
Networks.
No.
Networks. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought there's another one I was thinking of that wasn't that, but yeah.
So like Networks is good. Stockpile was another one I thought about with their plastic cards. This was the only one where I actually resorted like briefly to the internet, like because I came up with one, but I'm not sold on it. I'm sticking with it.
Power Grid.
No. You're lucky I haven't played 1837 because apparently, like, I found a thread where it was talking about like the list of best and worst board game money, and they talked about how it's the best board game money nobody uses because all 18xx players use poker chips, but it has really good high quality paper money that's like double-sided, really nice looking currencies. That I would have loved to have talked about, but I haven't played 1837. I now kind of want to.
Only you use the paper money. Everyone else uses poker chips.
My honorable mention went to Ponzi Scheme, and really, in retrospect, and I would have switched it, but I've already done one issue of switching things because of what you've said, so this time I'm sticking with my guns. I should have switched it because of the gameplay aspect. It does fit the gameplay so much, which is what we were really looking for. But what I went with was because I was so desperate to find something that like actually had really good upgraded money, like not standard money. And then when I thought of this thing, I had I needed to include it on the list just so that I could honestly say that at one point in my life, Seafall made a top list of something.
You're not wrong. It comes with the money. Yeah.
I've got it. I pulled it out of the box of Seafall. It's good metal money. It's nondescript, so you can buy Seafall for like $10.
12.
And
I think 12 is the lower.
now,
Yeah.
and use the metal money in literally any other game.
It is nice metal
Yeah.
They're
money.
different. You can stack them up to 10 high. Like they get a little wobbly, which is kind of a problem with a lot of metal money.
Especially
They don't
like
stack.
piratey money.
Yeah. So they're a little wobbly, but you can kind of stack them.
I'm fine with that choice. Oh, yeah.
And for Seafall specifically,
Yeah.
they do actually really fit the theme.
Yeah.
And like you're pirates and you're plundering, and so the treasure
Naval.
or your naval, like it's the age of sail,
Yes.
and so treasure on ships.
And
is
I
a
know you're
thing.
just trying to find anything that had metal
I
money.
was so desperate, so desperate to find, like, because I wanted to do brass so bad, but that's where I was actually remembering the rule. I forgot it for Dino Genex, but I was remembering the rule, and I was like, God, those iron clays are the best money in any game ever. They're deluxe only, and deluxe was not retail. Like, you cannot get it. So
I do believe
Seafall.
you can buy them, but it's an upgrade. So
Yeah. I don't think the deluxe copies are.
okay. Well, no,
they
but-
never went to retail.
No, yes.
You can buy the iron clays.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
But even I think they're mostly, you're not buying them from retail now. You're getting them secondhand from
Oh,
people
okay.
who ordered extra during the Kickstarter.
Oh, gotcha.
Like how I did.
Oh, I thought they had them on their website. Okay, then
I don't think so yet. They're going to do another Kickstarter because enough people were like, we want these, but we need higher denominations for 18XX.
Yeah.
And so I think there is a Kickstarter at some point coming from Roxley. But who
Gotcha.
knows? But yeah, Seafall, best money. Congrats, Seafall. You win best something.
Yep.
But, I mean, I am going to shit all over your parade. The Seafall metal coins are no longer available.
What?
Yep.
The new, like, if you buy a version of Seafall now, it doesn't even have the metal coins?
No, because it came with cardboard coins. And then this was a upgrade that you got with the pre-order that you could buy separately, which is no longer available.
What?
Nice.
I even double checked that base Seafall came with them.
And they're not available
God
at all.
well,
fucking
okay,
damn
so-
it.
I know that they are not available, but does base Seafall?
I found a thing where like they talked about Seafall having
How old was it?
I'm probably too old. God damn it. That was when I really fucking tried hard.
No, it's,
I mean, if that's true that it's not, then Ponzi scheme becomes fucking podcast unanimous.
You could always say the networks.
No, because Ponzi actually helps with the gameplay.
Yeah, just doesn't look nice. Seems like everyone's looking for the metal coins. So I'm sure there's copies of Seafall out there, but metal coins seem to be in.
Well, because I
no
saw some
longer in
people
supply.
saying to buy Seafall just for the metal coins.
Maybe you could back then.
Fuck.
here you go. Does this come with the metal coins, or is that you can only get it from the main site? The game should only come with cardboard coins. The metal coins are only if you pre-ordered it from the website. So Ponzi scheme, unanimous.
Ponzi scheme unanimous.
I almost thought about Millennium Blades purely from I love
almost
those.
did the.
I
it's
love
so
them.
Good.
They're shitty quality, but I love it.
It's another good. It's like
Yeah.
Ponzi. It's a good
Yeah.
example of using paper money like differently.
Yep.
So for those of you who aren't familiar, who's hearing this, in Millennium Blades, they send you a shit ton of paper money and then little like bands that you stack them. So you make stacks of ones and stacks of fives and stacks of tens. So it's like you're spending so much money, you're throwing stacks of money.
Yep.
And it's so satisfying.
Yeah.
It's a pain in the ass to set up because you have
Oh.
to like you do like 5 ones and then 5 ones and you make sure they're facing opposite ways.
Because they're only one way. They're only one
And
side.
then you band them. But then you get to sit there while you're contemplating buying. You get to riffle your
Yeah.
stacks,
Yeah.
and then you get to flop them down. Oh, it's
Yeah.
so nice.
Yep.
Also a great component for money. But
For gameplay reasons, not
Yeah.
quality.
yeah, that's all of our monies, which brings us on to cardboard pieces and or bits, if you choose to call them that.
Yep.
I have completely lost all track of whose turn it is in anything to start. So, Jeff, how about you start? Cardboard pieces. What are you looking for, and what was your choice?
Cardboard pieces should be solid, nice, not bendy and
Yeah.
flat. So I mean, like some bad cardboard pieces, or to be desired. I wish Twilight Struggles cardboard pieces
Yeah.
were a little nicer,
Mhm.
especially because they get used a lot. But-
That's not one I would have thought of for a bad example.
Well, it's for how
They're
much you.
fine, but it's
Yeah, and there's a lot of them, and it's hard to
there's a ton of them.
organize
Yeah,
and
those
stuff
are
like.
different problems.
Yeah, but the quality wise, most of those like GMT like cardboard could be better, but that's definitely not what they're going for
No,
anyways. But
it's standard for that style.
yes, I just wish that standard was a little higher.
But, mhm.
It was hard to think of cardboard pieces because like everything has cardboard pieces, but what is your like best cardboard pieces? And I had to go with the one that made the most recent and very large impression, which was brass.
Okay.
Brass is like the thickest fucking cardboard pieces I've ever seen in my life. You use a lot of them, and they look great, and they'll last forever. But fuck setting it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, brass Birmingham and Lancashire, like those are some solid fucking cardboard pieces.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
Zach, what about you? What do you got for cardboard?
Well, so for me, just like Jeff, you're looking for something that's solid. But I also like now I feel like solid cardboard should be a standard. And so I'm looking for things now that are like uniquely shaped and punched. But still, so basically it was Quacks of Quedlinburg.
Okay.
And not just like the potion pieces or whatever they're called, but like the entire like your the ingredients. The player board is a cauldron shaped, and it is very well shaped. The
books, the ingredient
books. The books. It could have just been like a plaque or something like that, but the fact that they made it book shaped and it's all of these are very well done in their cardboard cutouts. That it's just the first thing that came to my mind of like these are all like unique looking but very well done and matching the art that's on them.
Yeah,
that I thought they did a great job with those.
Right on. I have different answers than both of you. Brass, I can see. I could, like Brass is an honorable mention on like fucking 5 of these categories for me. I really love what Roxley did with Brass component wise. I have not played Quacks, so I've not seen what you're talking about.
You'll love it.
So no, I know I am not gonna like Quacks. So that's okay. For my honorable mentions, these are both in the completely superfluous cardboard section that technically is used for gameplay, but is not even remotely necessary for gameplay. And that's the airship from Celestia and the tree from Everdell.
Yeah.
They're both just ridiculous examples of like custom punched cardboard that does something interesting. That like it's actually useful. Like, you put the little meeple guys in the airship in Celestia. You put resources and cards and shit on the tree in Everdell. But ultimately, I had to fall back to, in another honorable mention, if we're talking about just pure thickness of cardboard,
Manhattan Project.
Manhattan Project, or Jeff, you have not yet played Crusaders.
Oh yeah,
that is some thick cardboard.
Oh yeah.
But I had to go back to just the overall like variety of different cardboard pieces and everything they do in the game and how well they all work together. And I'm kind of surprised, Jeff, that it wasn't on your list. Gallerist. The cardboard in Gallerist is just fantastic.
Yeah.
Whether it's the different colored little like tickets that you're getting, that your Neapolitan ice cream tickets that you're getting, the art cardboard squares themselves that are nice, good, solid cardboard with beautiful art. They again fit that graphic design. They fit well into the gameplay mechanics of it. The little like square cardboard bits to variety up the like goal scoring over on the one side of the board, just all of it, man. And I could have done this like really, it could have been just any Eagle Griffin cardboard, because like Vinos has great cardboard. Lisboa, I think a lot of its cardboard bits are really good.
And
but
blue.
Gallerist really just stands tip top for me.
Except the easel, which is Kickstarter exclusive.
Well, I think are all of the easels Kickstarter exclusives, or was just the one easel?
Because I've got like one.
Because there's 3 white easels that are like the works of art that you win at the end, and then there's a dark brown easel that's supposed to be a player marker.
Yes,
that I've never actually used. Those might also all be first, Kickstarter exclusives, but they're not cardboard either. They're wooden easels.
Yes,
so they're not part of this. But yeah. Gallerist for
so that'll be your best miscellaneous component that you'll have to change.
It's not, because variety of reasons, but it's not. So that wraps up cardboard bits, which brings us on to the penultimate, and that is resources,
which is hard because there's so many aftermarket resources.
So many resources,
like an incredible amount.
So I will go ahead and start with resources.
AKA not cardboard resources.
Yeah, not cardboard resources.
That aren't cardboard.
What I'm looking for in resources, this one's one of the hardest ones to define. It's going to be equally hard for the ultimate one.
Yeah, because just like money, so many things are exclusive or aftermarket or things like that.
Well, and I feel like this is one of those. It's like porn. You know it when you see it. Like good resources when you see them. It's hard to define what you're looking for in good resources, but when you see them, you're like, bam, those are some good resources.
I don't think it was porn, the quote that you said. I think it's obscenity. It was the specific term in that quote.
I mean, it might have been, but I've heard it attributed to porn.
It's like, how do you know?
Times.
How do you know when you hear obscenity? It's like, well, you'll know when you hear it.
Yeah. But anyway, So honorable mentions, and I lied when I said that the only way to get it in is with the player aids, because I get it in here. Food Chain Magnate. For as much as people shit on the components of Splotters, Food Chain Magnate had individual like wooden resources for all of the different resources, individually shaped and colored that are distinct and stand out and work great. Ditto that for like things like Agricola and Caverna. Tons of different games could all fall into
Depending
those.
on the edition of
Depending
Agricola.
on the edition, the newer editions
Yes.
that have the custom wood-shaped bits.
Not just the colored discs.
Colored discs, yeah. You know, but because there are so many games that do that with the custom wooden cubes, you really need a game that steps it up, that takes it beyond just simple wooden bits, which is why my number one best resources is Indonesia. They took those little simple wooden resources and they just scaled them up to fucking 10. They're huge.
Literally.
Sometimes too big.
No, I'm just kidding. Indonesia's not actually my number one, but I had to, because that was a printing error and it actually fucking sucks.
Yep.
No, much as I don't want to actually do it, I had to give it to Everdell. Even with the fucking little twiggy stiggy bits that roll off the fucking table, they're fixing it in future editions.
But it's wood. Like they're like, it's wood. No, it's a shitty type. I mean, it's a.
But they got like the little gems that are like resin. They've got the little like rubbery berries that have a good tactile like
Squishy.
I mean, it's not a berry feel, but it's got a kind of a squishy feel like a berry might.
And then a stone, another one. Yeah, it's
Pebble.
So good.
River
and those
stone.
are base level components. They're not an upgrade. They come in the base game. I don't like Everdell. I cannot recommend it as a game in any way, shape, or form, but fuck me, those resources are good. That's my resources.
Nice.
F.A., what are your resources?
This one was hard.
Yeah.
Because so many are fucking
because Scythe had those.
Because Scythe is all just like deluxe edition or
Yeah.
aftermarket. You gotta go to Meeple Source to get all those. But man, Scythe's
I
got
don't
some
know.
great.
Your deluxe scythes, sometimes the metal bars get stuck together. You gotta like use
Straight out of them.
pliers to pull them apart.
Yeah, I did get replaced.
Nice.
But yeah, they're nice. So an honorable mention of resources, and I think this one wins because it's most resources, is Feast for Odin.
That's a good call.
Yeah.
Okay.
I really like how that all fits on the board and all their different shapes and stuff like that.
Those are cardboard.
Those are cardboard, but they are resources. So I went with my gut, and I went with Caverna. Caverna has, straight out of the box, all the nice custom-shaped meeples, and then it has even like the rubies and coal, which were like plastic things, which was kind of a first thing for his games, where it's like, it's not just wood anymore. And you get a ton of them, and even all the wooden animals and stuff like that. And there's a bunch more animals in there. All good sizes and good quality. There was no weird shaped stuff in there, like the Gallerist.
Yeah.
Kind of wonky meeples sometimes in that one.
Many times.
I mean, I didn't.
Meeples aren't part of the
for that.
Yeah, it's not part of the
I picked them
cardboard
for
pieces.
cardboard, exactly.
But yeah, like just a base set of resources. Caverna, you get a ton, and they look great, and they're good quality, and you need a lot of them, and you get a lot of them.
Yeah.
Not an easy game to organize, however.
No.
It comes with a lot of bags.
Yeah. But that's why you get that insert, right?
Yeah, that insert is fantastic. It's a good thing expansion hasn't come out in a long time. So Caverna, great resources.
And for me,
Terraforming Mars.
no.
They're so versatile.
Yeah, right. Same sort of problems of just like I had all these thoughts in my head, and it's like, no, it's deluxe Kickstarter, blah blah blah. And I'm gonna end up going because of the variety of the resources. I'm gonna go with Everdell as well. The fact that it's 4 different types. It's not like, oh, these are wood shaped things. Wood shaped whatever. It's this is a twig that's wood shaped. This is like you said, a berry that's rubbery. It's a resin. What was it in the actual game? Sap. Amber.
Sap.
And then
amber,
and then a different type of thing for the pebble, the stone, water stone. So I thought they did a good job with that.
Right on.
That could have won if I didn't hate those sticks so much.
Yeah, yeah.
The fact they are fixing the sticks also helped me allow that to pass.
They realized it was a mistake.
It was a mistake.
Yeah. Another like kind of close honorable mention for me for that one would have been like
unlike the Gallerist. Sorry.
Jesus, man. Euphoria they were just custom wooden bits, but they were so good.
Yeah. Not your usual shapes that you see.
Exactly.
Stonemeyer Games.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I thought a little bit about Wingspan too, just for those eggs.
Oh man, those eggs are nice. They look like candy. Well, this brings us to the final option here.
Wild card.
The catch-all.
Wild card. The catch-all. Best miscellaneous component. This really should have been the first one. But we'd like to do things our own way. And our own way is the best miscellaneous component happens now. So, what are you looking for in best miscellaneous component, Jeff?
Something that didn't fit into these other categories, but I wanted to shine a light onto.
A certain je ne sais quoi.
Yes. And mine is Forbidden Skies. Those cool circuit pieces and making the rocket launch. And it was just cool...
It gives you a... I'm just going to go ahead and say this is mine as well. So I'll just go ahead and jump into this.
It's one of my honorable mentions.
Okay. All right, good. But the fact that it gives you, like, the end point of the game, it's like the Mousetrap when you finally build it and then it all works. It's like we built an actual circuit, and it's just a great feeling of accomplishment of not only, hey, we survived, but look, we actually made this thing do this little noise thing. That's 100% did not need to do it.
Yeah.
But the fact that they did is great.
Yeah. Could have just been little cardboard things that just whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But
Well, and then for me, like looking from gameplay perspective, it means you actually have to make the circuits work. Like,
Exactly.
Like if they were just cardboard pieces, you could be like, oh, they're touching.
Yeah.
Like it's close enough. Like no, they need to actually make a fucking circuit.
Yeah.
Or your rocket doesn't launch and you just get zapped by lightning on the launch pad and
blown
die.
away.
It did drop to miscellaneous for me. Zulkin's not miscellaneous. It dropped to honorable mention. Zulkin's right there because I haven't played Zulkin, and those gears I felt were like I couldn't justify them as a game board. They're a miscellaneous thing. But my miscellaneous number one was the town/city pieces in Spirit Island because they specifically designed them to have they have varying amounts of damage, and like depending on how you tilt them, like represents how much damage they've taken. So like the towns only have 2 damage. So when they're face up, they have both. And then you lay them on their side for 1, and then they're gone when they take their second damage. The cities have 3 health. So when they're standing up, they've got 3 spires. And then if they take 1 damage, you tilt it down one way, and you can see 2 pieces, and that's 2 damage. Or it's got 2 health left. And then you flip it over the other way for 1, and then they're gone. So it makes it really easy as damage can happen in multiple phases before they have a chance to heal. It makes it really easy to track that from a gameplay perspective.
Gotcha.
And I really appreciate that. I think that little extra thought that went into designing those really deserved to be rewarded. So that's my number one for miscellaneous. That wraps up all of our lists.
Yes, it does.
Our lists are done. That means it's time to hear from our listeners.
All right, Zach.
There was a lot of it.
This is our most responses since our last put to the question.
Yeah.
So this is over on BGG to the episode post.
This first one is from Phil. Everyone in my family was knocked out by the look of the Everdale components when we brought it out for the first time. The Ever tree was really a wow factor in that game. It doesn't need to be there, but makes the game seem much nicer. I mean, I would agree. Like a lot of times when we were playing it, people would be like, "What is this fucking thing here?"
Yeah.
So the other game I'd mention is Charterstone. Metal coins, resources which look like pumpkins, coal, etc. Great artwork on the cards and meeples. Oh yes, lots of meeples.
Yes.
Which I'd forgot that came with metal money.
Yeah.
All right. So this is a response to Phil from Paolo. I disagree about the tree. Yes, it's pretty and looks good on the table, but it really hurts the overall visibility of the components of the game. It usually creates lots of shade that obscures cards and locations on the board. Putting cards in the second level of the tree also is not ideal for all players to see what's on the cards. Like I said, it looks great, but serves virtually no real purpose. And in most aspects, it just makes it more difficult to play the game, which I think is what we raised as a problem of the tree.
Yes, I would agree with Paulo.
He's going to say his own things now. The Colt Express train is just great. It could be a little bit bigger.
I think there's like a con version
Yeah,
that is like a massive train.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks fantastic on the table and gives an excellent thematic and visual immersion to the game. The cogwheels on Zulkin the Mayan calendar are also pretty cool, especially if they're painted, which I've seen painted ones, and holy shit.
Yeah.
One of my few regrets.
Sorry. Good painted ones, holy shit.
Yeah.
Because there are bad ones that are...
True. One of my few regrets from like I'd meant to before I left the machine shop, like make a bunch, the gear shop specifically, make like a few different sets of Zulkin gears out of like aluminum or something so that I could send them off to people, like even maybe try to use the CNCs to etch them, something like that.
Gotcha.
Never got around to it, unfortunately.
It's too late now.
Far too late.
The marble dispenser and gizmos looks great and works very well. The gavel and easel in modern art. The Dice Tree Games edition. Look at those things. I didn't look at, how do they look?
I have not seen them, but I like modern art as just a random aside.
Gotcha. I haven't played it. So, the tin briefcases in the Godfather Corleone's Empire. They're a cool touch to the game. I still have been meaning to play that. The Dice Forge tray for the die faces. It's great for storage and setup and makes an excellent use of the game box while playing the game, which I think we talked about. The resource wheel on Glass Road, a very cool and interesting way of tracking the amount of each resource you have, and then doing the automatic production of the transformed goods, glass and bricks. Have not played that one either. Did you ever play it? No, I thought you did.
Yes. So I have. I played it a long time ago, like last winter, 2 winters ago, at the condo with Paul in a 2-player game.
Oh, gotcha.
Was drunk and I barely remember.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure Paul crushed me.
Probably. The wrestling ring in Luchador Mexican wrestling dice. Don't know if it was an extra or a Kickstarter deluxe component, but it's just fantastic. It's basically just a dice tray, but but it's in the shape of a ring with ropes and a turnbuckle, which is, I like that.
I have played that game.
Nice.
Yeah.
The coconut throwing monkeys and coconuts.
Yeah, that's
adorable.
great. Yeah.
And probably the best of all are the stone pieces in Stone Garden. Just go look at some photos. And I think that is enough.
It's like 10-ish. It's like a full list.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Those pieces are good.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. Next up, we have May from the Slack.
Yes.
The resurrection, the resurrection of Jeff. Smiley face.
Emoji.
Yes. I haven't played it in a long time, but those dumb poker chips from Splendor have enticed so many children to play the game. Even adults enjoy the satisfying clunking sound of stacking them. It also has a practical purpose. The whole game revolves around taking and putting back chips, so it's good that they're large and easy to grab. It makes for a more satisfying experience. Agree.
Yeah.
Yes, there was, like, in a later edition of it, they made them slightly less weighty, and, like, people were freaking out. I remember. Yeah. The electrical circuit components from Forbidden Sky are fun to manipulate, and building the circuit is an interesting new puzzle for the series. The rocket ship lighting up and making sounds at the end is really satisfying.
Yes.
I know it was like a big deal for Megan the one time we played. Like she really wanted to like see the rocket work. She was trying to do it beforehand, and Aunt would not let her until we actually won. And then when we won and actually got to connect it, Megan was really happy. So it definitely has like a driving force. Like, no, you don't get to see the rocket work unless you win the game.
Yeah, you lose. Sorry, put it like just put it away. No. All right. This next one is from Nick, and I just want to go ahead and say fuck you, Nick, for making me read all this.
Wall of text.
This is easily my favorite post we've, I think, ever had on BGG.
All right. So there's a ton of obvious games that I can mention when it comes to great components, and I'm sure you guys will talk about a lot of them on the show. So I'm going to go off the beaten path a bit and talk about a particular genre of games that have wonderful components and a particular publisher that does an amazing job with these games. So these games are 18xx games, and the publisher is All Aboard Games. First thing that I love about most 18xx games is the clean and sparse art style. This is extremely important for heavier games, especially 18xx, because you need to be able to quickly and easily parse the game state. Second, I really enjoy the way the components in most 18xx games, and especially the ones printed by All Aboard, feel and function. The laminated tile tracks that are thin but sturdy lay perfectly on the board, but also make it easy to see other tiles on the board no matter where you're sitting around the table. All Aboard also has some really nice wooden tokens that are used for station markers and for the stock market that are functional and pleasing. Stocks, charters, and trains all have nice card stock with clean graphic design, making it easy to look across the table to see what your opponents have. The final thing I want to say is how much I appreciate that All Aboard uses a fairly consistent graphical design style across all their titles. Their company charters are all designed to look similar across the various games that they publish, and all the title tracks and boards have a similar look and layout. This makes transitioning to different titles much easier. The biggest downside that most people will find with 18xx games is that they may not come with the money needed to play the game. I know Zach has commented on this issue before on the show. Sure, they could spend money and charge more to put paper money in the box, but that would be a waste of time, money, and resources. Anyone who wants to play 18xx games is going to want to play with poker chips due to the amount of money shuffling that is required in the games, and will therefore invest in a set so that they can use them across all 18xx games that they play. I know this may be a downside to some, but for me it's a plus. I actually wish there was more opportunity in board games to reuse common components across various games to cut down on cost and waste. Sorry for the long and rambling response, but when I see this topic, I really wanted to talk about something that I feel is underappreciated in the board gaming hobby, components that both look good and make the game easier to play. I feel like 18xx games do this better than almost any other games out there.
There are so many points where I wanted to interject and just be like, yes, I agree. But really, he just nailed everything. So I was going to let you just drone for the whole thing and then say, thank you, Nick, for finally putting in actual intelligent, if not succinct, terms why I actually think the design and components for 18xx is great.
I mean, you pay with what you get. I mean, $110, $170, not a problem.
That's due to tiny print runs. That's not a component issue. That's a limited print run issue.
For it being so popular, you'd think they
It's
would
not
get around.
It's not so popular.
It sounds like it is.
That's only because we have a significant portion of our listenership that came here from me on heavy cardboard, which has a higher percentage than normal 18xx fan base, and that I fell in love with 18xx. I mean, I do think it's actually growing in popularity. More and more people are realizing that they're not nearly the dense, like, completely impossible to understand games that people make them out to be. Like, I think the 18xx hobby, like, side of the board gaming hobby has been held back by 18xxers who make it sound like they're real stodgy, drawn out games. I think that, it also depends on what ones you play. You play shorter ones. Like, Zach, you even had fun for, like, I don't know, 60%, 70% of the one you played of 89?
Yeah, and then it was just it fell off a cliff.
Which some of that was because we insisted on playing it all the way out. We probably should have spreadsheeted it. Like, that's why people talk about spreadsheeting at the end of them. You get to a point where it's like, okay, things aren't going to change enough to make a difference. Let's bust out a spreadsheet, calculate out the last little bits here. Because it's not going to...
Yeah, that'll really make me want to play a game.
You're an accountant. You love spreadsheets.
I do not.
Is your favorite 1831?
My favorite is 1861.
1861.
Well, Chesapeake is my current favorite. Chesapeake is, although I don't think technically all the way out.
That's the Russian one, right?
No, 61 is the Russian one.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yes.
Yeah.
I did really like 61. I want to play more 61. Oh, yeah.
Just the cleanest graphical.
It's very clear. I can see at a glance from here across the table on your little iPad tablet, all of the hexes, what the different terrain types are, what roads are going to, like what tracks been laid, where they've been laid, what can be upgraded.
For the cost of 3 18xx games, you can get Kingdom Death Monster.
Yeah. Well, it's good that you be
18xx games.
Yeah.
Which will give me far more playability and enjoyability than Kingdom Death will.
For you, yeah.
Yeah, for me.
I'll just
we don't care. We've stopped caring about your opinion long ago.
Play what you dig.
I'll just say this, Nick, these are opinions that you have.
Yes.
Nick, you are correct.
All right.
Objectively.
This is from Mike Jones. Okay, here it goes. The hex tiles in Archipelago, they are big enough to fit all the meeples and cardboard chits that will inevitably fill them, have unmistakable iconography regarding their production and population, clearly display terrain types to make fitting them together easy, and are beautiful. The artwork on them is amazing, detailed, quirky, unique, and wonderfully immersive. Special shout out to the plastic tray for them that is removable from the rest of the game's plastic tray. Which is needed because you don't want to see the things on the bottom side. The player boards in Terra Mystica, again, simple and clean iconography that spells out for anyone who has played the game before just about everything you need to know for your particular race. They are also the most thematic thing in the game, and that's just because of the picture of your race.
Yeah, there is no theme in fucking Terra Mystica, and I appreciate that Mike Jones acknowledges that.
The base in Pyramix. This criminally underappreciated multi-person abstract strategy game only works because of this odd-looking plastic base upon which all of the wooden cubes sit. The coasters in Skull. Yeah, in a pinch, you can play this only using playing cards, but the version of this most people have is so recognizable and awesome, with each color having unique art and easily distinguishable tiles. It is a pleasure to break out and inevitably argue over who gets the samurai skull, who gets the Viking one, and who is stuck with the vaguely Jamaican one or the one with the weird face tattoos. That's all I got on that. Welcome back, Jeff.
Woo.
Here's hoping for a quick, full, and relatively painless recovery.
Yeah, well, not quite painless.
Yeah.
And not quick.
Yeah. And we'll see how full.
We'll see how full. Yeah.
Lastly, and on an unrelated topic, throwing it back to a recent episode where Adrian complained about the ubiquity of the word duel in the names of two-player versions of existing games, I present the following as evidence. Space Cadets Dice Duel from 2013, Saboteur the Duel 2014, Seven Wonders Duel 2015, Bang the Duel 2015, The Dwarves the Duel 2015, Bonanza the Duel 2016, Tesla versus Edison Duel 2017, Duelosaur Island 2018, Emotep the Duel 2018, Yokohama Duel 2018, and because these are only listed in German right now and may not have been translated directly to Duel, Quix Das Duel 2016 and Zuluredo Duel 2017.
So if you include the German versions, there's 2 in 2016, 2 in 2017, and then 3 in 2018, which means that I'm expecting 7.
There were 3 in 2015, so it's like a sandwich.
Well, it's just gonna explode.
Well, then it'll just go to 1 like in 2014, then 1 in 2013, and none ever again.
I don't think it's that kind of curve, Zach.
We'll see. This next one is from Alexander. 1846, the race for the Midwest, tiles, Saint Seiya, deck building, everything, in particular the magnetic clock.
Never even heard of that game.
Legendary Encounters, an alien deck building game, playmat, but only this.
That's fair.
Teotihuacan, City of the Gods, pyramid pieces.
They are really good.
Samurai Spirit, village board, and the other components. Roll Through the Ages, the Bronze Age. The player's wooden resources board.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
They're like pegboards.
Yeah.
Which is really nice.
Yggdrasil, drawing bags. Metropolis, buildings. Nemo's War, 2nd edition.
I've heard the components in that are fantastic.
Everything. And the Big Book of Madness book. Rated almost from most played to least played. So there you go. Next one is from Jake. Shout out to Terraforming Mars. First mention, it has to be in a component's top 10. No, you're wrong.
Well, it's just not the first mention.
Yeah.
But it was mentioned multiple times
Yes.
as the top components.
Yes.
It's true.
About
how not top it is.
For those super thin player boards, just kidding. Remember how Adrian put that in his honorable mention?
Mm-hmm.
I think they deserve credit for being well laid out.
Excuse me, I got to keep talking over here.
Just keep being wrong over there, Adrian.
Just kidding. Those can't even be close to being on the list, but what's an episode without a mention?
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't know.
Or several.
Yeah. I have to go with Scythe. The overall quality of what comes in the box is amazing. Recessed player boards, 4 custom wooden resources, 5 plastic miniatures per faction, and custom meeples for every faction. There are so many places that corners could have been cut, but that's just not the Stonemaier way. Seriously, the fact that Terraforming Mars and Scythe came out in the same year blows my mind.
Terraforming Mars, more expensive than Scythe. By the way. MSRP, it's like $69.99 for Terraforming Mars.
MSRP is a very poor indicator.
But that's how much you had to pay for that game when it came out.
It's the
that
manufacturer's
year.
suggested retail price, Adrian.
How much have you spent on Scythe? Versus how much
Hundreds.
I've spent maybe 120 on everything Terraforming Mars.
You don't have Venus.
Everything Terraforming Mars except Venus.
And you got an insert.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could probably calculate it out. Depends on what the Artist Connoisseur Edition pledge was.
As one other has mentioned, the pyramid tiles in Teotihuacan, City of Gods, are super cool and really adds to the building a pyramid feel. Lastly, the overall quality in Century Golem Edition is impressive for a $33 to $40 game. Each card has individual artwork. The gems are awesome to hold and trade, metal coins, and a great insert. Heck, the insert even has removable trays to hold the gems. Pretty awesome for the price. Jeff Calgary.
Calgary Jeff.
Yeah, Calgary Jeff says buildings in Santorini. Yes, you could get by with 3 different sized blocks and a dome, but the buildings add such a great tactical and visual component to this game that it has the table presence that matches the depth and variety of strategies available with all of the god powers.
Or you could just 3D print one.
That's true. You can't 3D print those cards, though.
That's very true.
I mean, you probably could have just taken a long ass fucking time.
Here's my 3D printed cards.
Next one is from V. Mine are as follows. Kanagawa. All of the mural pieces fit together to form a long and continuous painting no matter what card you play. All the cards are also watercolor painted, so the end result is beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
They look real nice.
do.
They fit well.
Yes, they do. Tokaido. The winding road is simple and beautiful. The game is organized so that any player is able to quickly learn how movement works in the game, i.e., if you are at the back of the line, you get to go first, next round, etc. Azul. The boards are simple, but also beautiful. The mosaic tiles are gorgeous and heavy pieces instead of cardboard. I also like that the easier version of the game gives you a pattern to follow, but you can also choose to play on a blank side to make your own pattern. Sagrada. I like how simple the game board is while still being beautiful. With a lot of games, a minimal use of tiles and materials often translates into an uninteresting layout. Not so in Sagrada. Using the dice to keep track of the rounds is also clever. Number 5, Jaipur. Another game with a simple layout that still looks beautiful without a lot of additional pieces. The setup is straightforward. I particularly like the goods token setup. And then we just have a list of another 5. Spirits of the Wild, Between Two Castles of Mad King Ludwig, Castles of Burgundy. It's
like the 18XX of components.
Letters from White Castle, Letters from Whitechapel, and Fresco.
I wanted Letters from White Castle game.
I mean, just start collecting all those any ads that they send.
I don't get ads from them.
Well, because there aren't any here.
It's true.
I thought there was a White Castle in Denver.
Don't think so.
I don't think so.
Anyway.
Finally done talking.
So much. I'm just still riding on a sweet, sweet high from Nick dropping an 18XX truth bomb on this podcast.
18XX opinion bomb.
Yeah, there you go.
Truth bomb. I'm just going to cut out everything you guys said negative about that and make sure it's just really highlighted. I might like just straight copy and paste that whole read multiple times throughout the episode. For like all 10 component things will just be Zach reading Nick's comment about 18XX.
Oh man, you really just want this podcast to go downhill and just everybody unsubscribe from it.
Yeah.
I'm sure even Nick would do that.
It's like,
release a bonus episode that's just that 30 times.
Best miniatures, 18XX. Best insert. Best box, with just a white piece of paper stapled to the top.
But it's clean and clear, and you can tell.
You knew exactly what's in the box,
Yeah,
though, so that's all it needs, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody who chimed in. Like Zach said, that was one of our most commented on threads for a long time on BGG. We really appreciate that. Jeff, we're happy to have you back on the show. Glad you could make it back in studio even. We didn't even have to Skype you in for this shit. You hobbled in here.
Yes.
Like a fucking champ. So yeah, that's all awesome. And wraps up the episode pretty nicely. If you have any thoughts about specific components that absolutely work amazingly from gameplay perspectives and with everything else and that just really stand out to you, there are a bunch of ways to let us know about that. You can send us an email.
Emails at milehighgameguys.com.
You can jump over to that very thread that Zach was just reading from over on our Board Game Geek Guild number 2731. where you can subscribe to the guild and then leave a bunch of feedback in that thread. Agree with anybody else in the thread, disagree with them, agree with us, disagree with us, whatever the fuck you want to do, you can do it over there. You can also tweet us. I tweet under @MHGameGuys.
I am Zach_MHGG.
I am Jeff_MHGG.
And don't forget to jump over to our website, milehighgameguys.com, for show notes, including links to things we talk about. Not so much applicable for a top 10 episode because we're not going to link to all of the 50 games we mentioned. But Wednesday episodes, there's links to news and Kickstarters. Review episodes, there's links to the BGG pages for the games we're reviewing, things like that. Whole bunch of awesome information over on that website, including links to our Slack channel that is super active. All kinds of good discussion happening over on the Slack channel, and plenty of interesting things to participate in. So if you want to interact with us, a bunch of ways to do it. Yeah, that wraps up the whole episode. Thanks everybody for tuning in. As always, I have been your host, Adrian.
I am still Zach.
And I'm Miniature Maker Jeff.
Bye.
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 Which I'm glad Jeff just said all that shit. So are you okay there? Okay.
I keep meaning to open my beer in between breaks. Or in
honestly,
between things.
what it is it looked like you tried to open it and you're like, I hurt my hands.
No, I went to open it and I was like, shit, he's talking again. I don't want to interrupt, which I've just now done.
It's fine, yeah.
Punchboard Media,
where we all
bring something
to the table.
Pull up a chair
at punchboardmedia.com.